Hey guys, this is just a short video to talk about why you might want to change or implement some things into your life and do things a little bit differently. So I think that a lot of people are going through life at the moment in 2019, and especially families, and they are just living week to week, getting through the motions, but no one's really happy. Or they basically are making it through, plugging away at small things with no goal setting, no aim or desire for what they really want in the bigger picture. And people get really stuck in this rut and they feel like they can't get out, and they're not going to get out. I'm just going to quickly run over what changed for me and what made me realize that things weren't good enough. Okay, so I basically experienced from when I had our first son, he had a lot of medical issues and he was always sick. I was always run down and feeling unhealthy. My hormones were all over the place and things just weren't good. I wasn't in a good space mentally. Not so much depressed or anxious or anything like that. I just felt like crap all the time, tired, mental fatigue. It wasn't a good thing. I suffered with a lot of like IBS, digestion issues, especially since my son. I think pregnancy really changed that for me and made things really different physically for me. We were like achieving goals and overall I felt good, but it didn't feel great. And as soon as one of us would get knocked down with a cold, it just had like this flow-on effect. The whole week would get thrown out. I would make excuses to eat junk food. I would make excuses to divert from the food that I would normally feed my son, and I would make excuses to eat crap as well. And basically it got to a point where enough was enough. I was really unhappy continuing to live this way. I felt like we just would get better and we'd get knocked down again. I was so sick of my son's behavioural issues and running on lack of sleep. And I had to do an overall haul and just look at everything on a big picture scale, which obviously is common sense, but it's not really at the same time. It took me a while, but I kind of, as I was going down the rabbit hole about some other things, it kind of just like reared its ugly head, and it made me realize that we weren't healthy, we weren't feeling good, and our environment and our home life was not the way it should have been. It definitely wasn't how I wanted it to be. And yeah, it made me really sad. It made me realize that I had really good intentions and I just wasn't following through on a basis that covered every aspect of our life. So where we were healthy in some ways and really focusing on things in some ways, we were really letting like little things slip behind, and that's what was making the impact. So I've gone over that it's just like a health thing, but it was so much more than that. It was really affecting like mental clarity and how I was feeling as a mother and how I was feeling as a wife and a person and a friend. And what we did was we actually moved away. So we ended up moving an hour away from our friendship circles, my mother's groups. We decided to push ourselves out of our comfort zone, and we decided to rent a property that is on a couple of acres. It is 20 minutes from the nearest shop. I basically put ourselves out of our comfort zones to get change, and that's what we did. So even though you don't have to move homes to do that or push yourself the way that we did, I definitely would recommend it if you're feeling the urge to move or to have a fresh start. It wasn't really a fresh start. We still saw a lot of our friends, and we still do, but I made new friends. Being out here isolated me and forced me to get comfortable with myself and our lives and how we were doing things. And It was the best thing I could have done, because we've been out here for a year and a half now, and that separation from society, even though it's not a huge separation, it was enough to make me reevaluate everything. And I kind of just sat down and I went through what was important to me, what I wanted for our family, what I was sick and tired of. And once I wrote those down in a list and put it there physically in front of me, I realized that there was a lot of stuff I needed to work on, and that although I was generally happy and healthy and okay, I wasn't deeply satisfied with how things were, and I wanted better. I wanted more for us. And I'm just in the process of going through this as well. I'm still learning things. Every day I'm learning more. And you're not going to wake up one day with an abundance of knowledge. You need to go looking for that information, and you need to find it. But that's why I want to share my journey with everyone, because I think it's important that, you know, I used to be the kind of mom that wouldn't hesitate to go through the Macca's drive-through. I wouldn't do it regularly. It wasn't an everyday thing, but I wouldn't hesitate to do it. If I was feeling crappy, if I was tired, if I couldn't be bothered with dinner, and I was like, well, I get the kids really healthy food all the time, it's really not a big deal, we'll just do it. And then I started to eat more shit, and I started to let those excuses, I was constantly run down. It was a vicious cycle. I would eat crap food because I was feeling run down, and then we would get more run down. We would go to the doctors for everything. We were constantly catching colds. I would just get blown up with gastro issues. The kids would get issues. And it basically got to a point where once I had realized that all of these things were just being flared up by continued bad behavior. Judson, get down. One moment. And once I realized that we were just going through this vicious cycle over and over and over again, and I realized what I wanted to change, what needed to change, and how we were going to get there, that's when we started to see really big changes. So I'm just going to finish off by going over what I wanted from our lives and what I wanted to see change. So first of all, our health. I wanted to stop getting run down all the time and being overworked and exhausted in being a mom, and I was working at the time, and I basically would just run on empty, and I would never ever look after myself, and then I would get really sick, and so would the kids, and then I'd be looking after sick kids, and it was just this constant combination of no sleep, crappy foods, toxins in our environment, not washing our fruit and vegetables, really simple things. All of these things were contributing to not being the best version of ourselves that we could be. I would never practice self-care properly. I would be lucky to get in the shower twice a day, just for 5 minutes, just to have a refresh. I was drinking so much coffee, it was insane, because my son doesn't sleep very well, and I would just live off coffee and quick fixes. Second thing that I wanted to see improved that was really important to me was my husband and I taking time for ourselves and looking after ourselves as individuals, spending time with our friends on our own, going to the gym, making sure that we made time for us as a couple was really important to me. Making sure that we had hobbies outside of being parents. We really needed to make sure that outside of just parenting and going to parks and play dates, that we did things that we just wanted to do and we followed our passions. And this is one of mine. So that's what I'm doing. I'm actually acting on it, and I'm trying to help people do the same things. Take up a class, do a dance class once a week, or a martial arts class if that's what you're into. Something that was really important to us was that we needed to establish our identities outside of our family, our children, our marriage, and just be individuals, but also be a couple again as well. The third thing that I really wanted to focus on was behavioural issues between my son, myself, my husband, and just us as a family unit, and acting differently and behaving differently was really important to me. We're all really quick to anger, all of us, and we also cool down really quickly, and we needed to assess the way we were behaving and basically what we could do to make sure that everyone was happier, and everyone was thinking properly and behaving better, especially our son. His discipline needs, his emotional needs, his security, all of those things. And the fourth thing that was really, really vital to me, that I basically wanted to make sure was a part of our lives, was that we did something more than, and we implemented quality over quantity. Basically, I was tired of just living day to day through the motions, and I wanted more, and we needed a plan to achieve more. And I also was tired of feeling unfulfilled and feeling like I wasn't who I really wanted to be. I don't think that I was making a difference at all, even if it was in like immediate people's lives. I feel like for someone who had so much knowledge and things to share, I wasn't sharing anything. And I basically decided that the fourth most important thing to me was that we weren't just going to live anymore and just go, you know, about as worker bees. It was time to step it up, and it was time to make really dramatic changes so that we felt alive, and also we could help other people feel alive and break down that narrative in our head that tells us that we need to buy a house, have X amount of children, earn X amount of dollars, and do this and that. And basically wanted to make sure that this was a long-term thing that had longevity, and we weren't going to lose our passion. Every time I start to get tired of researching or reading, I start thinking about how we were before this journey, and I start thinking about how I felt. And that gives me the passion to keep going, and that gives me the passion to also encourage others to do the same. So all in all, if you are tired of the way that you are living and you feel like a zombie and you feel unfulfilled, you guys are sick all the time, you feel run down, you are so tired, and it's not just lack of sleep from having children, you feel like you've lost your identity in motherhood, or just lost your identity in general, or you don't even know who you are. If you feel like you need some kind of dramatic changes but also minor changes that make up that overall picture, then this is definitely the YouTube channel for you, because that's what I'm all about. I want to take everybody on this journey and make them see that I'm not at the end result yet, but I'm on my way, and I've come a really long way. We all have as a family, and I want everyone to feel the same, because I'm so tired of seeing my friends, my family, strangers trying to attain something that is empty, that is worthless, and it just puts us into this autopilot mode, and we know we're doing it, but we're stuck doing it, and we don't know how to get out of it. And I want everybody to be the best that they can be for the circumstances that they have, feel the healthiest that they can feel for the circumstances that they have, and achieve more for their family and for themselves, so that you guys, everybody's leading a lifestyle that's alternative to the norm, but that is doable and functional and makes you feel like you're being way more true to yourself. Because I can guarantee that most people are not being true to themselves or what humans were intended for. And we definitely weren't intended for this concrete jungle lifestyle that's got us all feeling miserable and really, really crappy. So I hope everybody has a really good day, and I hope people take that on board and realize that it is possible to change. And if you just bear with me, I am mama, I am starting work in the next couple of months, I'm moving house, but I'm just going to keep going with as much as I can and pushing out as much content as I can to help people. And yeah, we'll see how we go. Join me, and if you want to follow my Instagram, I also do like lots of mini videos on there, and I promise that I will work as hard as I can to help you guys feel better and start feeling the way that I'm feeling. Yay! Okay, bye everybody.